Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English.
Hi everybody and welcome back to the English with Kirsty podcast. And I'm here today with a guest. She's a returning guest, but I've just looked and the first time we spoke on the podcast was 2016. So a lot's happened since then. Welcome back, Christina. Good to see you again.
Hi, Kirsty. I'm glad to be here. And well, thank you for your invitation for that podcast interview.
Yeah. So last time we were talking about language exchanges from what I remember and our experiences with them. And I'm sure a lot's happened in those 7 years. It certainly has for me. I'm sure it has for you too, but for anyone who doesn't know you or who has forgotten what happened in 2016 or who hasn't come across you yet, maybe you could give us a short introduction. Who are you? What are you doing? And what's your connection to languages?
Okay, so I'm Konstantinidis. I'm German. I live in Bavaria, which is the southern part of Germany. And well, I've had a language passion for decades now. I'm not that young, but I've got a language passion for decades now, and I love languages. I speak several of them. English, my main language is Italian. I speak French. I speak Spanish. I focus on these languages, and I've got a lot of language partners and friends abroad. And that is, well, what creates the passion. The language itself is not the thing. The thing is the persons who speak with you, the persons you know, the persons you can, well, see in other countries. They come here and all that. That's my language passion.
And that's the human connection, isn't it? The relationships you can build.
Of course. And there are long-lasting friendships, and that's the great thing about it. And my work, well, related to languages, of course. In the past, I worked as a language teacher offline. So I went to a local language school. I taught Italian there, German, all that. And even before COVID, I decided, well, that's not my cup of tea. I would like to change something. And having the technical possibilities, having the new technology, I decided to switch a bit my focus on teaching online. And then I started a blog. I wrote a book about language learning. And well, and now I work online 100%. And it's great. I teach, I write blog articles, also for other people. I work in the field of translations, transcriptions in German and in English sometimes. Yes, many different things.
So many different things, but they're all connected to languages somehow. And I think that's interesting that I guess the pandemic was a bit of a catalyst to drive you online, to get you doing more work online. And I think it was an interesting time to do that because I was working online full-time before that, but I saw a change in the way that people started seeing online training. There are some people who still think that they can only learn in a classroom, and maybe for them that's true, but I found a lot more openness since the pandemic that that people do understand that training can happen online, and there seems to be more willingness to try that now. There are also a lot more people doing it, but I think it's really good because then you can connect with teachers in different parts of the world, and also as a learning provider you can really work with different people, and also you don't spend all this time traveling, which is great. But it sounds like your day is very varied. That's nice that you've got different things going on, different projects, and you have a new project. I see on LinkedIn.
I've got a new project. Yes, my new project is a YouTube channel with a program accompanied to it, so related to it. So the YouTube channel is called Mind Map Your German. It's for visual learners. And it's, well, mind maps is a technique you can use for organizing learning things, organizing topics, and so on. And it's, as I said, for visual learners, and you can organize well with it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I
each,
brought you on here, because I'm not a visual learner, and I
Yeah,
thought that
I
would be
know
good
that.
to find someone who can talk about things in a way that I don't, because I think for everybody who's on a language learning journey, you have to find the things that work for you. And you have to try a lot of different things. Sometimes you can, you know, find something that your friends really like, but it just doesn't work for you. And so you have to build, I think it's good to have several techniques so that it doesn't get boring, but at the same time, you need to find things that work for you. And I know we were just saying before the podcast started, this is an audio podcast, and we're talking about a very visual topic, but I think it's possible to do that. But I will also add your YouTube channel link to the podcast page so people can come and have a look at what you're talking about. But maybe you could tell us a bit more about that. First of all, how does this technique work, and how does it help visual learners in a way that other techniques wouldn't?
Okay, so the YouTube channel at the moment is just a YouTube channel. So with videos, you'll get the transcriptions in German and in English so that you can read along if you want to. And it's in form of mind maps. So the videos are in form of mind map. You can see a mind map chart practically. And I'll explain every single point a bit more detailed. You can see only bullet points. You can see keywords in a, for me, logical order.
Okay.
And I'll explain a lot additionally. So it's also for auditive learners, because there is a lot of explanation done.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I guess it helps if you can speak German. I know you've got the transcript too, so for people who can't, you know, they can do that. I do speak German, and I listen to some of the videos, and I could understand the information. That it seemed logical to me. That's what I mean. The order of the information seemed logical to me. But having how would you describe a mind map for someone who's never come across one before? What does it look like? So it has the information.
So you've got your topic, your main topic in the center of a sheet of paper, let's say. You can create mind maps writing by hand. You can also create them with the help of a program. There are computer programs for that. I draw and write manually. Okay. So there are little drawings on that side, on these documents. There is little visual input. That's it, perhaps. And you've got your main topic in the center, in the middle of the page. And then you've got branches, and each branch is a so-called, perhaps it's an undertopic. It's a
subtopic. Okay.
A subtopic. It's more detailed then, and then it goes on like that. So, for example, you've got the city Cologne in Germany. That was my last video I did. And then your subtopic is, for example, traditions. And then I explain the carnival, the Kölsch beer, and so on and so on. And it's just like a branch, new word, new branch, new word, and that's it. And that's perhaps also something for visual learners. It's very colorful.
Okay,
I've got 60 colors here, and I use all of them.
Okay, so, and that's also, I guess, for the memory, it's to make it more interesting and appealing visually, but it's also to help people to remember what they've learned if they're not somebody that would just learn from reading a long list of information. It breaks it down, and it makes it more it makes it easier to remember seeing that mind map, and then hopefully the vocabulary that goes along with that.
And these branches are always marked in the same color. So what goes together, what belongs together, has the same color. So it's easy to form groups of information. So all the things which have to do with tradition, in my example, are, for example, red. And all which has to do with Cologne cuisine is blue, for example, like that. So you can sort out quite easily what belongs to what. And that's probably the positive point about it. It's quite creative. And the thing is also that learners who use this method also for their learning, not only consuming my mind maps, but creating their own ones, learn how this method works. And it's really, really interesting, it's fun, and it's effective also for other topics. So you can organize everything with it. And that's a good point. And so students learn presentation techniques with it because it's a good presentation technique also.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that, well, I have two questions now that came from that. So firstly, you're encouraging people to be proactive. So it is a good way to learn about Germany, but in doing so, improve your German, because I understand that your channel is aimed at German learners. So it's taking the topic of Germany and using that topic to help people to learn vocabulary and information about the culture. So the idea is then that these learners would go on and make their own if they're trying to, I don't know, remember something for an exam or trying to learn something for themselves, and that they can make their own. Do you also take topics that are not, like, is this a way for people to learn things about the language, about the grammar, or do you stick to topics that are about places or traditions or?
Not only. So I've got some videos about places and traditions. I've already talked about the humor in Europe, comparing the different countries. What do English people laugh about? What do German people laugh about? What do Italian people
I need to
laugh
watch
about?
that.
I've got some videos about idioms. So idioms with colors, idioms with a certain meaning, like being lucky. I made a video about that. What can you say in German for being lucky?
Okay.
Yes, it's a wide range of topics, and I try to vary a bit. Not, well, city 1 in week 1, city 2 in week 2, city 3 in week 3. That's not the case. So I've got a great variation of topics. I think that works. It's grammar, it's vocab, it's learning techniques, regions, general topics, whatever you want to. I had an episode about numbers in Germany. So there are, how many words does the German language contain? How many dialects do we have? How many regions and all that? So it's quite, every week there is something else. And even my mother said, well, I learned something new.
Yeah, I think that's possible. And I was just thinking, like, for German teachers as well, this will be a really good resource, have the information put together, and then, as a conversation starter and for learners and for people interested in Germany. So it sounds like you've got quite a broad audience, but I guess primarily it's for people who are learning German. If people enjoy the way that you present the information and learn from it, is there then an opportunity to work with you? Is that something you offer too in terms of classes, or?
Of course. So the plan is everybody can work with me, writing me an email, getting in contact with me on the socials, whatever. But the plan is also to create a program around it, which takes time, of course, because I started some weeks ago, and it takes time. But have exercises and also conversation class about the topics of the videos. So when we had a video about, let's say, Bavaria, that was my second video I did, Bavaria, what you didn't know about it. And somebody's interested, we can take a conversation class, which is also good for exams, I think, to have speaking practice about several topics.
But also for developing your general conversation skills. And I think sometimes that gives people a bit of confidence if they can look at something first and know what the topic is, so they can prepare, not so much that they aren't being spontaneous, but that they know what the topic will be about, and maybe they can think about what their opinion is on that topic, or if they've been to Bavaria, or either for a one-to-one or a group session. It's nice to have something that everybody has seen before the session, or that everybody can contribute something. And I think that's a good way to get the active language skills going, when you can you've learned something and then you talk about what you've learned.
And also the topics are quite interesting. It's not this typical exam style thing. And so it's a bit more, well, you can chill a bit while you learn. Sometimes you don't have the impression to learn, really. It's just a great leisure time activity also.
Yeah, people like travel, people like food, that they're
course.
generally interested in, people are interested in these topics. So if you can create content around them, then it gets people interested. And I think if you can forget that you're learning, then you're winning, because you feel like you're having fun if you're talking to people as well. And I think that's what we need if we want to use another language, because sometimes when I look at learning materials, they can be a bit far removed from people's daily lives. They can be out of date because they're so old, especially if you're looking at languages that are not so, I guess there's a lot of material available for English. The question there is how good some of it is, because there's a lot of variety. But I've started learning Romanian in the 2021, so in the pandemic time, and once I could use content for Romanian speakers, it was okay, and I can do that now. But finding stuff for learners that was actually good was a bit more of a challenge, because maybe the demand isn't as high as for something like English or German. So I think it's good to find things that are interactive and interesting, but also that don't feel like they're just exam preparation, because then people get bored. So how long are the videos generally? Is it like 10 minutes, half an hour? How long are your videos?
So it's about, more or less, the videos are about 10 minutes. Sometimes a bit, well, sometimes they are 12, 15 minutes, sometimes only 7. But, well, 10 minutes should be a long-term goal for my video length. It's a bit difficult sometimes because I draw at first. I write my material at first, and then I record the video. And sometimes, well, there is a lot of information, and then I talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And after 12 minutes, I notice, oops, 12 minutes. Okay, I should come to an end. But it's okay. I think it's quite, yes, it's. And what you also have in these videos, which you don't always have in classical learning material, when I see learning material like course books and so on, and you get texts, after the second or third sentence, you know what grammar point is dealt with, what vocab area is dealt with. It's quite artificial sometimes. And in my videos, it's normal language. I speak a bit more slowly than I normally do, a bit. And I don't use, well, very complicated vocab, but it's my normal language. So you can listen to authentic German. It's not exam related, or it's not changed. It's just me. How I speak also in my daily life.
It's you, but it's also, Bavaria was the first place that I went in Germany, and I thought I understood German, and then I met some people there on my first visit, and I don't understand anything, but it's not like that. So I can, it's very understandable too. It's not a strong accent either.
Yeah, I try not to speak dialect.
No typical Bavarian words unless
of course.
explaining them.
Of course. Of course, yes.
So yeah, no, I think it's good to try something new. So if you're able to, and you haven't tried something like this, maybe you're not learning German, but I'll add the links and you can have a look, and maybe this will give you some inspiration for how to do something different for your learning, because I think we all need variety. It's like eating the same food all the time. We don't always want to do that, and it's the same with language learning. It's good to add new things and try new things. Obviously you're on YouTube because that's where your channel is. Which other platforms do you like? Where do you like to spend time to interact with people or to answer questions or comments?
So normally I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook. Instagram is quite new for me. I tried to post something, but it's not perhaps I'll have to learn a bit more how to use it. But normally I'm on Facebook and on LinkedIn. These are my two main channels, let's say.
Yeah, I've got someone
And
trying
of
to encourage me
course,
to use Instagram. I've got an empty profile at the moment. That's as far as I got with it, but I do need to look at that. But yeah,
of course my website, my blog. I've got a blog on erfolgreichessprachenlernen.com, and probably you will find the link in the description for that podcast, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll add that as well. So the blog is to go alongside the videos, or the blog is, because you've had that longer, haven't you? This is more about language learning and tips for language learning, or did you change the blog?
I didn't change the blog really. It's my normal blog I had before, but of course there now you can also find the transcription, a bit of articles about the YouTube videos and all that. But I want to keep on my original concept of the blog, like giving learning tips, talking about these things. It's a bit mixed at the moment because in the long run, perhaps it's a good idea to have a main website only for the YouTube channel, but I'm not sure how to do it, honestly.
You can have categories within the blog so that people can look for a certain type of article, maybe, or
that's a good idea. Yes,
you've had the blog for a while, and I'm sure you've already collected a lot of good tips and content on there. So I will add the link to that as well, so people can find the blog as well as the YouTube channel. And I guess you've got big plans, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops, and wish you success with your new project. Thank you for coming to talk to us about it.
Thank you for the invitation. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's been talking to you, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon. So thanks for that, and I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can come and find you. And yeah, LinkedIn is a good place to be. I'm spending more time there as well, so I'll add that. And yeah, all the best.
All the best for you. Thank you, Kirsty.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.